absolutely did not. Good force fields going down, zoning so many of these roaches out as the forces of Titan push into the natural, causing a cancel on that spine crawler. And the force field on the ramp, I mean, that's going to keep everything from getting up. I don't think that Pig is going to be able to hold this. There's still so many force fields left, and he hasn't really succeeded in killing off any of the sentries.
Yeah, Titan doing worlds of damage right now. Drone's getting pulled off the line. No force fields going down to prevent them, but a Guardian Shield does in fact. But nice control here out of Titan should spell the death of everything that Pig loves.
Absolutely. And of course, the things that he loves are those roaches, those hatcheries, those queens. All the drones did go down. If we take a look at those worker counts, 24 drones to 44 probes. Even if Titan loses this entire force, he is in a dominating position in this game as the soccer count grows. The good game, the well played, out of Pig. And wow, that was some intense play there out of both players, but Pig just didn't quite have it, man. That style out of his opponent, out of Titan, caught him off guard more than once. And yeah, I don't know really what to say other than that.
I mean, the Zerg versus Protoss has gotten so formulaic for the Zerg player, where they just know exactly what to do, when they need to scout for certain things in order to be able to counter them, and everything goes to the wind when the Protoss doesn't forge fast expand. So Titan really mixing it up there, and honestly, I think we're going to be seeing more and more of this. After seeing Naniwa do this at the recent MLG this weekend, and now we're seeing Titan do it against Pig and finding great success. I mean, the last 3 times I've seen Protoss open with one base, they have succeeded against their Zerg opponents. I think that goes a long way towards saying where the future of ZVP might be headed, at least while the metagame is still the forge fast expand.
Absolutely. And so, guys, with that, we're going to be going to a short commercial break in just a second. And then we're going to be bringing you the next series. That was a quick 2-0 for, obviously our, our Protoss player. So he will be going up in his group. And the next match is coming up. If you take a look at the stream, it is going to be Mill.Feast versus Nerchio. Ooh, that is going to be an awesome match. It's going to be such
really
a good
looking
match.
forward to it. We're going to jump to a quick commercial break, guys. We'll be back. This is One Nation of Gamers. I am Kibbles.
And I am Gwyn. Alright guys, this is Gwyn. I am back with my wonderful co-caster Kibbles, and Kibbles, we have Mill.Feast versus Nerchio coming up next. That's going to be another Protoss versus Zerg, but I don't know, I mean, Feast is such a boss.
Yeah, he's quite a fantastic player, and it's going to be pretty interesting. We're having yet another ZVP that is starting off once again on Shakura's Plateau, and we're going to have to see. It's gonna be an exciting match, I think. I think this will be a little more even. Not because Feast is any worse of a player or Nerchio is any better, but I'm saying because I would expect to see the Forge Fast expand, and Zergs just have that figured out. We shouldn't have a Zerg who's completely clueless as to how to handle things.
Absolutely, I do agree. So we are going to go ahead and jump into this game. Are you ready with me?
I am ready, sir. Just give me a countdown. We'll get this game started.
All right, we're going to go ahead and start in 3, 2, and 1. And jumping to the game screen for everyone to see, in the blue, we do have Nerchio from Team Acer.
In the bottom right, we've got our red Protoss player. He is Mill.Feast.
Yep. And like you said, I would not be surprised at all to see the Forge Fast Expand out of Feast. He plays pretty standard, and he just plays standard really, really well, I think is kind of like the big thing to look at it. And there we do see that probe moving on down toward his natural expansion. It's going to drop that first pylon on the low ground. Super standard.
Yeah, I mean, it's so rare that we're seeing Zergs not, or excuse me, Protoss not Forge Fast Expand against Zergs, and ultimately that's what makes the one-base play effective. You know, we were talking about that. I mean, if most Protoss aren't Forge Fast Expanding, then Zergs are going hatch first, and then they just tend to crush one-base Protoss. But as it stands, Shakoras Plateau, we're gonna have a Forge Fasting Protoss. We'll see if he opts. No probe going down right now, so it looks like we're not going to have a 13 Forge. So we'll either have the 15 Forge or a Nexus first. Pretty excited to see what it's going to be so I can start judging this player.
Yeah, looks like probably the 14 or the 15 Forge. Looks like a 14 Forge out of Feast, throwing it on down. And we do have the probe of Feast at the same time moving into the base of Nerchio. He's going to see that there is a pool started that was a standard timed pool, and that a hatch should be following immediately after. But right now, nothing but drones and overlords.
Yeah, that probe wants to make sure it's down at the hatch rate in ample time because there is no gas drop down here. Trying to get a little bit of preemptive damage here on that probe is Nerchio. That makes it much easier to kill or chase away the probe once it goes down to your natural. Because it really can be tough to drop the hatchery if there's a full health probe there. You've got no gas, you're bound to pull minerals, and you just want to get rid of them.
And Nerchio, though, is doing the same, repaying Feast in kind with that block of the Nexus. He's got his drone. He's trying to block it out. And, I mean, look at this out of Nerchio. He is actually making 6 lings and a queen. Oh, Nerchio, you are so bold. You're delaying that Nexus. Now you're going to delay other things from going down. There's a gateway next, so, oh, wow, Feast opting for gateway before cannon. That means, of course, his tech is all going to be about 150 minerals sooner. And with these 6 lings, he's absolutely going to be able to chase that probe away.
Yeah, and no cannon.
Yeah, there it is.
From Feast. Okay.
I think these lings, though, are going to get there before that cannon finishes. And 6 lings will obviously kill a morphing cannon. So that is a big thing to note. But we do see the 3rd hatch here out of Nerchio. So he's just making those 6 lings, do as much damage as he can. And, the pylon block. So Feast, will sustain a little bit of damage on this pylon, but the lings, I don't think are going to be able to make it through before that cannon finishes.
Yeah, it does appear that that's going to be the case, and really insisting with the pressure here from Nerchio.
Oh, and he does make it in with 3 lings, so actually he was able to kill off the pylon and the probe that was finishing that block, and now he's got 3 lings into the base of his opponent. This is so annoying to deal with as a Protoss player. I can't tell you, how often this happens, and you're just like, really? I have lings in my base now? Now I have to worry about this and like micro probes, and all I'm trying to do is make an economy. But
probes have been killed and no cybernetics core out quite yet, Gwen.
There is a single probe hiding down here by the gas of Nerchio. It does get picked off by more lings out of Nerchio, so Nerchio has actually spent a lot of larvae on lings. Taking a look at the count, he has 7 lings on the field. I mean, he just made another 2 larvae worth of lings. That's 2 less drones, but I guess he feels like he needs to.
Well, he's killed a few additional probes here. And honestly, this is the point in the game when we typically see a Protoss player ahead in workers of the Zerg because the larva injects haven't, hit the field yet. And honestly, they were too busy building hatcheries. But consequently, 4 workers having been killed off thus far by Nerchio, he's looking in a pretty good position right now.
That is very, very true. Now sending a couple lings out to the middle to scout. We have passed the 6 minute and 15-second mark, so we should see some gas out of Nerchio soon. I mean, it's pretty standard to take a couple gas there. The gas go down at that 6 minute and 30-second mark. So he will be getting probably an Evo chamber as well as that Roach Horn as we round up towards 7 minutes.
Yeah, this is looking a lot like Infinity 7's crazy movements builds actually, with the around 26 third hatch, and then the 40. He dropped these the double extractors down at 44, and it makes that you get less speed, or you get the speed less quickly, but you get kind of like a massive surge of everything right about when you need it. The one thing we might see is a later Roach Warren if he does, if he is really studying crazy movement. He does tend to favor the later Roach Warren in lieu of getting those quicker upgrades and techs.
And oh, the Lings in the base finally getting trapped by a good probe plus Zealot surround at the natural. We'll have to see what that tech choice out of Feast is. I mean, he's chrono boosting his +1, he's chrono boosting his cyber core, he's adding on 3 more gateways in the main, so we might see that 4-gate pressure build after the Forge Fest expand into some tech perhaps, or into you know, another bunch of gates, as we do see. I would say tech at this point though, with those 2 additional gas going down.
Yeah, I mean, he threw on a very limited number of gateways. Typically 3 is the number. I don't know why exactly, but we pretty much see 3 gateways. I mean, it gives you a good number of units if you need them. And ultimately, it doesn't prevent you from throwing down tech because you're pulling minerals at a certain point. But we see our Protoss player instead, Feast, pulling a lot of gas. And that was while he was on just 2 gas. Now, he's up to 4. And he's going to start mining off them, starting to mine off them now. That's going to mean we have likely some either serious tech or a very plentiful sentry count inbound here from Feast.
Absolutely. We do see the first warp-ins from those 4 gates happening down by this 3rd base. The probe that made it out and was protected by that Stalker Zealot pair did quite a bit, you know, they did quite a bit of harass closer to the natural, allowing the probe time to get up those pylons. But with the roaches coming out for Nerchio, he actually should be just fine against all this. He is continuing to make some drones. Taking a look at those counts, it is 60 workers to 42 probes. So Nerchio pretty much at that point where he can start making a lot of, you know, units if he wanted to, but opting for more drones. 8 more on the way. A bunch just popped. So he's up to 70 drones at the moment, and he's getting a Hydralisk in.
Oh, and that is beautiful, because Gwyn, we've got an 8-gate currently inbound from Feast.
Wow.
Hydra's so good against gateway units, and as long as we see a plentiful number of roaches and lings here made, we should, as long as Nerchio doesn't really pull his army back too far into his base, for example, where sentries can just be so devastating with those force fields. If he forces the engagement in the middle of the map, it's going to get messy for Feast.
But look at this, we do have a bunch of roaches and lings actually just moving straight into the natural of Feast. Feast wasn't watching his front, didn't have anything there to block, and this could be a huge problem for me. He's warping and stuff, but these roaches are trying to focus down the nexus. The rest of the forces joining up will stop that from happening, but the damage already done. These pylons are now exposed at the middle of the map, and we'll have to see if Nerchio knows that they're there and is able to take them on out before Feast can get back out there with his army.
It needs to take them out now as roaches are in position. Roach speed looking like it has kicked in at this point. And one thing I want to point out is a lot of volleys went off on that Nexus for Feast before he decided to start killing probes. Consequently, he only killed 8 workers, where he probably could have gotten, 12 to 14 perhaps. Pylons, though, being taken out in the middle, both of them are going to fall, and that's going to severely limit the reinforcement capabilities of our red Protoss.
And, Nerchio with some great target fire is able to pick off one of those sentries of the Protoss army after the force fields go down. So not only were 4 force fields spent in that engagement, a sentry was killed, and now the proxy pylon has to be remade. But look at this out of Feast. This is so smart. He has decided, okay, I was making roaches before. Now, in order to, keep my economy sustained the way I want it to, I will start making lings and hydralisks. Of course, you either want to make lings and hydras, or you want to make just roaches to have that good economic balance if you're using good saturation on the minerals plus the gas. But switching over to that hydralisk composition with the lings, going to be so good against this gateway army.
Oh yeah, Ling Hydra is going to be scary for Feast. He does have 1-1, no upgrades currently in place for our Zerg player, but that just makes him all the more deadly at this very moment, and Ling's going to actually be retreating here. An interesting decision out of Nerchio. Now going to have to fall back, loses some units there, and I don't think he killed a single one.
Yeah, I mean, those force fields did a great job of zoning the Hydralisk out of range. That Hydra range has now finished up, though. And, oh, look, this is beautiful out of Nerchio, setting up a flank behind this army with the Lings as he tries to come in from the other side with the Roach Hydra. Will he be able to do the damage? More units streaming down from the natural. The Hydra's off-creep engaging, and this Gateway army is just melting.
when these force fields were quite good, but there are a lot of Zerg units here. We've got a number of Roaches and Hydras, and they are absolutely melting all of the gateway units for Feast. Feast gonna have to drop the GG.
Yep, Feast now out of that game. Guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into the next game in just a second. But of